Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's the Steel City Blitz Steelers Podcast presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. And we are thrilled you are here. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and good tidings to all out there as you tune in for another rousing edition here. As you can see, it's just Ben and I at the moment. Ian likely putting his 12 kids to bed. Scarps, it's very possible, could be face down in a gutter somewhere. There's a rumor that he had a holiday party today. So we're really not sure what kind of shape he's going to be in if he ever does get here. He needless to say, he's not going to be in any better or worse shape than the Steelers after their 16-14 loss to the Baltimore Ravens at Acrisure Stadium on Sunday. And that pretty much buries them in terms of the postseason for 2022. There's still a chance, as Mr. Jim Carrey said in Dumb and Dumber, there's still a chance, but it's a slim one, folks. And that, of course, has led to all kinds of wonderful things coming out this week, and we're going to touch on all of those. Ben, welcome in, and I know you're getting something to eat there out on the left coast, so I'll try to keep talking here so you can.
I'm watching this fucking horrible excuse for a game.
Oh, that's right.
The 49ers are down to their third string quarterback, and they're beating the Seahawks, who are wearing the most god awful uniforms.
Are they wearing their highlighter?
They're wearing
uniforms?
those green ones, yeah. At least they're wearing dark pants, but oh my god,
they're wearing dark pants and the green jerseys. Oh my lord!
It's 21-3, and Joey Bosa just sacked Geno for a nice big loss.
Okay, yeah. Let's welcome Scarps into the program.
Scarpino.
Listen, I apologize. Yeah. I'm never late, but like the Steelers defense. I just did show up on time.
Oh, I thought maybe you had the runs or something.
What was it? Designed Runs.
That's the worst.
Runs. That's the shittiest band name ever.
Oh yeah, love it. Welcome, Scarps. Hope you had a good time at your holiday party today.
I've been drinking for half a day. What a great, glorious occasion!
Glorious day. Oh yeah.
Oh God.
Especially on a podcast day, isn't it great?
Bless you all.
Yeah, and again, Ian will be by when Ian gets a chance to. So anyway, guys, the Steelers lose 16-14. A lot of bad things. I'm just gonna throw this out there. Ben, is there a quarterback controversy in the Steel City right
now? Which quarterback is shittier, I'd say, is the controversy.
Okay. I am referring to and hello, Ian, welcome in. I am referring to the potential quarterback controversy if one Mr. Kenny Pickett does not play on Sunday.
Which seems likely.
Which he's been limited all week. No clear indication if he's going to come out of the protocol in time. But that leaves Mitchell 3 picks Trubisky and Mason. I've been in civvies all season Rudolph. So that's what I ask. Is there a quarterback controversy between those two chaps?
Again, I'm going to hope that Pickett can play.
Mm-hmm.
If he can't, is there a controversy? I guess, but it's just because people have forgotten that Rudolph sucks. And they've forgotten the last time we actually saw him for any significant stretch. He tied a 1-win team that was starting guys at corner that were on the fucking street the week before.
Working at car washes.
Yeah. He's terrible. He's okay. Mason Rudolph is 5-4-1 as a starter, which, slightly above 500.
Right.
It's not horrible until you examine what the defense did during the games that he won and what they didn't do in the games that he lost. Okay. Mason was the benefactor of a defense that gave up 12.6 points per game in his wins, 16 points in his ties, and 23.75 points in his losses. The one time that the defense gave up more than 14 points, it was the benefactor of a Minka Fitzpatrick 96-yard interception for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's not good. I don't know why people forgot that he's not good. They want to Fans want to give him another chance. Give him another chance. Mitch played a really shitty game. Mitch is what he is. He's not good. But Mason didn't get better. Mason sucks.
Is this a classic case of everybody's favorite player is the backup quarterback?
Recency bias.
Recency bias.
With it. We're all familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
Change for the sake of change. Fire Tomlin. Make Rooney sell the team.
Yep.
Everybody should go.
Yep.
Start over.
Now, Scarps, you've had a little bit different opinion on Mr. Mason Rudolph. What is your take on this week? And
did you hear that, Scarps? I wouldn't put up with that if I were you.
By the way, I'd like to welcome in Corvette here, coming in from South Korea. Holy shit! I don't think we've ever had anybody from South Korea before.
Might be our first international guest.
That's got to be a first international viewer. Welcome in.
Right.
76 Corvette.
76 Corvette, yeah.
And just real quick, I don't know if you're in our armed forces. Thanks so much for what you do. If not, thanks for joining the show. But either way, thank you. And I'm sorry, Scarpino, I cut you off there. But what are you looking at this week, man? You think Mason deserves a start?
As you all know, I am a Mason supporter. As you all know,
there's nothing wrong with that. Stick to your guns, man.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yes, yeah, that's. here's my one thing about this. Yeah. Is that, and I tweeted this earlier today, is that the season is over. It has been over. And if you didn't think it was over, that's because you drank that 5-7 Kool-Aid, that Heinz 57 5-7 Kool-Aid that was just great to taste. Bottom line is, if Mason does start this weekend or this Sunday, does it really matter? Because he's not going to be here next year. He's not going to be here next year.
No, he's not.
Now, here's what I think. I don't think Mason starts this weekend. I think that Tomlin is doing right by him. I think Tomlin is trying to give him sort of a, hey, we got a guy that's capable in certain situations. If anybody wants, here's the thing. Mason's not going to be here next year. So whether they're trying to give him, throw him a bone and give him a game to play or whatever,
right.
It's what it is. But I've never said that Mason is better than, so-and-so or so-and-so or so-and-so. But, is it going to hurt you that much if Mason starts this weekend? Who gives a shit if he does or not?
What did Herm Edwards say once? You play to win the game.
For God's sakes.
You play to win the game.
5-8, though. They're shit. This
so
team
what?
sucks.
The title
You don't fucking tank on purpose? That's like Miami Dolphins-esque.
The title of my article this morning for
Did
quick
the Dolphins tank or not? Because I was told they didn't.
Flores refused to, but they wanted to.
Does it matter? That was the title of my article this morning, and I agree with Scarps. It doesn't matter who plays this weekend. Mason's gone. He's going to be on the first plane out of Pittsburgh as soon as the season's over.
So you pull a fucking Cleveland Browns and just lay down and say,
fuck No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just simply saying that it really doesn't matter because you have to win your Final Four, and you're going to need help. The chances are slow.
They're not going to the playoffs.
No,
and if they go to the playoffs,
no.
If they go to the playoffs, they're going to get humiliated again.
Yes, I don't even know that they win this week, let alone win 4 in a row.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
They're not going to win out.
Right. So therefore, I say start Zach Gentry at quarterback. I want to see how he does.
Oh, fuck that.
Now you're really pushing it,
Ian, welcome to the show.
Babe. Yes.
Ian, my first question was when you chimed in was is there a quarterback controversy? Obviously not having to do with Kenny Pickett because if he's ready to go, he clears protocol, he's going to start.
Yes, and that's the correct decision. You cannot bench Kenny Pickett at this point in time because you spent a first-round pick on him. You have to put him in the games and give him the experience and see if you have anything there and just let him grow and go through the growing pains. And maybe sooner or later he'll learn how to diagnose a blitz and not run himself into trouble. You also asked if there was a quarterback controversy was your next question.
Yes.
And, I guess sometimes, when you go take a dump and there's 2 turds in the toilet and you flush it and see which one goes down first, that's kind of like what's happening between Mitch and Mason. So if you want to call that a controversy, then it's kind of like
really
the race to the bottom of the toilet bowl.
What a visual.
It is controversial. It absolutely is.
The drops of shit. Well, Diontae Johnson came out today and said, I want Mason.
I want Diontae to score touchdowns, but I can't make him catch the damn ball.
The dude is open here. Everybody wants to shit on DJ. The dude is open all the time.
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah,
I agree.
And I get it. I get it. He does struggle to catch everything, but if Diontae Johnson, and that's why I said don't pay the guy right now because I want to see what he does without Ben. But if he has an even half decent quarterback, that dude's a Pro Bowler every year.
It isn't just the quarterback play. It's the route concepts. It's the quarterback play. Yeah. It's everything. And I'm sorry, Kenny Pickett. As much as people want him, they want to say he's got that it factor. He's not there yet. He's not. Okay, stop. You can't speak it into existence. All right. Kenny will develop. His body will develop. His mind will develop. As Ian pointed out, his mind might develop, and he'll get better. But don't sit here. Kenny's the truth. He's going to be a Pro Bowler, Hall of Famer. You just don't know. He's going to win the next Super Bowl for the Steelers, dude. He hasn't proven shit yet. He's not proven a goddamn thing. And until he does, it's an incomplete.
Well, I want to answer that question that George had real quick about the comp pick thing. If Rudolph signs as a free agent somewhere else, they could get for him maybe a 6, maybe a 7.
It depends upon the size of the contract and how many free agents the Steelers sign in return. So we're way early in terms of counting what the return might be on a free agent leaving. When you've got a premier free agent leaving, then you start looking at that going, oh boy, this could be a third or fourth.
This would be a long shot.
They want to protect this. And I agree with you. You're looking at Mason Rudolph. You're probably talking about maybe a 6 or 7 back in return, and they're not going to try and protect that. If they see a free agent they like that would cancel Mason out on that equation, they'll sign him.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the record, Trubisky's contract garnered a 7th round comp pick value, basically.
Mason's definitely a 7.
7 at best, because I don't even think he's going to get that kind of a deal. I mean, he's not getting a Mitch Trubisky type deal, is he?
Wait, hold on. I might be looking at the wrong year. No, that was the contract Buffalo signed him to.
Oh, okay.
That garnered the 7th round value. It was Trubisky's contract he got from us would have been a 6th round value.
Okay.
So that was
so it'd be a 7.
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong year.
It's based upon the position pay scale.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just say, well, this guy's making $7 million, so he should fit here. It doesn't work that way. If the position is paying more, you got to pay those guys more, and the scale drops out at a higher rate. It'll drop out at $5 million a year or something, $6 million a year. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when it all pencils out at the end of the year where that might sit. But, you can't look at a $7 million guard and compare him to a $7 million quarterback. It's not the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The guys in the chat have an interesting couple of comments going here, talking about offensive line play and the fact that, this Brock Purdy kid out of Iowa State has looked very good for San Francisco. Does offensive line play make a huge difference in a young quarterback? I think
yes, and so does scheme and running game. And run game. San Francisco has a scheme that's built to amplify the things that their players do well.
Mm-hmm.
They scheme around, okay, this guy can do this thing good. We're going to put him in those kind of situations and use him that way. We're not going to make this to put it in Steelers terms, we're not going to make Benny Snell run routes down the field and catch passes. We're going to use a player like that to run the ball up the middle. We're not going to, they use their players to amplify their strengths, which is
they have
their coaching.
They have a good offensive coordinator.
They do
in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
The Steelers do not.
Yeah. Scarps, you were definitely shaking your head there. Are you suggesting that Matt Canada struggles in this regard?
I mean, shit, dude. How many injuries has the 49ers running backs faced this year? Elijah Mitchell's hurt, or is it Eli or Elijah? Whatever.
Elijah.
Yeah, Eli Mitchell could probably run for 500 yards, whoever that is.
Yeah.
But the point is, I don't even think the 49ers needed to even trade for Christian McCaffrey, but they saw an opportunity, and he's just killing it, right?
Yeah.
It would be so nice to be able to have an identity and a purpose like the 49ers do. A team that I'd like to add has 5 Super Bowl wins and is gunning for a 6th. And as much as that hurts, and as much as it hurts that the Cowboys are also in contention, it's reality,
Right.
and the Cowboys lose, you lose Zeke for a couple weeks because he's got a bad knee or whatever it is, and they got a guy named Tony Pollard that the Steelers could have had, but they chose Justin Lane and Benny Snell. And you can sit here and say hindsight's 2020 or 70-70 or whatever you want to say. Bottom line is that the Steelers lack talent and depth, and we've been saying it on the show for weeks. And you watch these other teams right now that are successful and that are on the climb in that second half of the season. You look at them and you're like, wow, they're well coached. They have depth, and they have an identity. And the 49ers are one of those teams. And I'm very jealous that they could literally plug and play any running back and they're successful.
Yeah, it's like the old Denver scheme. And it's based upon those same concepts, those Shanahan concepts, where you literally can take any running back and make it work.
What is it about what they do that lends itself to that, though?
Blocking schemes.
So, with that in mind, and Ian, I'll throw this to you first. I think it was obvious that the Ravens' offensive line was significantly better than the Steelers' defensive line, goes without saying. Was it as simple as saying those guys were just kicking the shit out of the guys across the line, or were there some things going on scheme-wise, technique-wise that had us confused?
I think it was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I think that, yes, we got our ass beat in the trenches on both sides of the ball.
Yep. I would agree.
And the thing was, after the game, the Steelers players got asked if the Ravens were doing anything schematically different than what they'd shown before, and they said no, which means they weren't prepared to defend the schemes that the Ravens were running, because if the Ravens weren't doing anything different, and the Ravens run a bunch of different kinds of stuff, don't get me wrong, they have some very well-designed plays. But if the Steelers, who are professionals at this, weren't prepared to defend them, and they weren't doing anything new or different, then that's on the coaching too. I mean, to me, this was a 4-phase loss. This was a loss. I mean, offense, defense, special teams, and coaching all got outperformed by the Ravens. So
I really thought that the physical aspect of the game, the Steelers just getting their asses kicked, played a lot bigger role than any of the others. It just wasn't.
Well, no.
I mean, there were some mistakes made. I agree with what you're saying, Ian. There definitely were some mistakes made, and some of them were glaring.
Yeah.
But the thing that decided the game, 2-point game, was just the fact that the Steelers could not match the Ravens' physicality. They couldn't, and that starts along the lines.
And all that said, the Scarps, we had a field goal blocked, and we had 3 interceptions, all in Baltimore territory. Let's just
2 of them in the red zone.
Yeah, and let's just assume 2 of those end up as field goals. What are we talking about today? I mean, what's the discussion? Because the Steelers walked out of there with a victory, and they would be 6-7 right now.
What was the thing last week? In the hunt. They're in the hunt.
Oh, yeah.
Even though they really weren't, but they needed to win that game to be in the hunt, and they didn't. And, whatever you want to say about Mitch, the first 2 thrown down the middle of the field, God bless him. He was letting it rip. I don't care. That last one though, that deep ball was just to me that was just careless. It was just careless. Like
the first one was pretty bad. It was.
Here's the thing, though. The other guys,
the first.
He didn't see Smith standing there. The second one was even worse than the first. Yes. Yeah. But he should have seen Smith coming.
I want to give credit to the other team too, right?
Sure, like, they're good.
They watch tape.
They get paid too. Yeah, yes, you're right.
They watch tape. So like, I don't want to say it. So like, you know, I like the fact that he attacked and he was and here's the other thing too. They moved. Sorry if you haven't been listening. I've been drinking for like 12 hours, but they move the ball, and Tomlin talked about this. They move the ball so fluidly and continuously. Like it was like every time they got the ball, I was like, who the hell are these guys?
Right.
And then when it mattered most, it was just fuck, you know. But
yeah,
that long ball from Mitch was just careless, and you're right, still Dad. If they do win that game, you know, they're 6-7 and we're singing a whole different tune, but that's just not the way it works.
But
and
they didn't win that game,
and to go
so
back,
it doesn't fucking matter.
And to go back to what Ben said, and the again, I talk about the Kool-Aid, but the amount of fans last week that were like, "Oh, we're gonna beat the Ravens. They're banged up. They're not. The Lamar isn't there," and I just sit there and say, like, oh my God, like, what are you taught? Like, what makes you so confident? What makes you so confident in that? Because, yeah, you know what? Mitch did move the ball, but you know what? When push came to shove, the Ravens beat our ass on both sides of the line, and it didn't matter. So, you know what? Yeah, you can go back and say, oh, yeah, well, Mitch could have did this, and Mitch could, yeah, he could have. But you know what? I'll tell you this. When Tyler Huntley left the game, and they put in a guy that had zero NFL experience on their own fucking 1 yard. Was it one? Yeah. Was it their one? Yeah. On their own 1 fucking yard line.
Yes.
And they fucking play faked, and he threw like a 3-yard out. Yeah. And they got out of danger zone. Yeah. That's how much these opposing offenses think about this highest paid defense. They're not afraid of anything.
Well, yeah, you know, the thing that stands out to me most, the most telling thing about that game is when Huntley went down, the Ravens just said, fuck it, we're just going to run the ball.
Yeah.
You can't stop it anyway.
They became a high school football team at that point.
It's like, fine. They ran play action. It was a 3-yard pass.
We're running and you ain't stopping.
It was a 3-yard pass, whatever.
It was like, do you remember that game against the Texans, their first year in the league, when we threw like 3 pick sixes or 2 pick sixes?
That was Tommy Maddox.
That was Tommy Maddox, yeah. It was. And
the Texans had 27 yards of offense.
Yes,
they were 24 yards of
basically
offense.
Like the Texans were like, we're going to run 2 plays. Play number 1 is run left. Play number 2 is run right, and then that's all we're gonna do.
Yep. Oh yeah, we had some yards of offense and 9 points. I think we lost 24-9.
Yep.
Fucking horrible.
It was like that they were like, we're gonna run a couple plays, and we're just gonna run the ball at you, and you can't stop us.
I thought an interesting play in the Steelers game was I think it was Trubisky's maybe 3rd play. He went deep down the sideline to George Pickens, and Pickens, got his hands on the ball, made a very nice catch. Does Pickett make that throw? Not in the sense of Kenny, but does he throw it?
But does he make the decision to throw it to that
exactly?
Spot? Yeah, I thought the same thing when it happened.
I'm like, because I don't. He was so frustrated and confused by what the Baltimore Ravens were doing defensively. I mean, he was making one look and he was pulling it and running it.
Honestly, as poorly as the offensive line was blocking, they were allowing guys to come in untouched up the middle. What the fuck?
Yeah. Oh,
it's
man,
like
it was bad.
All the center has to do is say, this is the middle guy. And then you count from the outside and you match up and you know who your guy is.
Yep.
I don't know how much easier that could have been. The guy lined up in the A gap. He was standing right across from Kenny, and still nobody touched him. Yeah. They both went, "Ole, go right ahead, hit our quarterback." Yeah. So I mean, at that point, that kind of screws with the quarterback's psyche. He's expecting a hit. it's just not. That was fucked.
Yeah, it was ugly.
They did him no favors.
How in the hell, Ian, does George Pickens get? I believe he had 3 targets. He had a 4th, but there was a pass interference, so it didn't get counted as a target. So 4 times they threw at him.
Yes.
How in the hell do you have a guy with this kind of talent getting 4 targets?
Because they're idiots. And their excuse is like, oh, well, we're trying to do some things in the game plan schematically when we see certain matchups. Like, who the fuck cares? If you have – this is not the same. But, like, when DeAndre Hopkins got traded to Arizona, Kyler Murray was just like, I don't care how many guys are covering him. I'm going to throw him the friggin' ball because I know he has a 50-50 shot or better of coming down with it.
When the Steelers had Antonio Brown
and
Ben Roethlisberger, he could be double, triple covered. It didn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
You're just like, he's got a shot. Here we go.
Yep. Yeah. AP's down there somewhere. We'll see what happens, And you just – and to go back to the point I think Ryan made earlier about Diontae Johnson, like if you look statistically at, yards of separation, all that stuff, yes, Diontae is the most open guy on the team. But as far as like number of actual catches based on targets, like Pickens is better than Diontae, even though he doesn't get open as much. But I think some of that is that you need a quarterback who's willing to throw into NFL windows, not college windows. That, we talked about this ad nauseum when Mason came in, that Mason was waiting for guys to be college open before he threw them the ball. Whereas, Mitch was more willing to throw into those NFL type windows. Now, granted, Mitch was staring down his first receiver. Mitch was, doing a bunch of other things.
And Mitch got caught on Sunday twice by people that just were waiting for him because they were like, you're looking at the receiver. I'm waiting for your, okay, there it is. Thank you.
In regards to Pickens, and it's a sin to say you like any Raven, but I do like Marlon Humphrey. I think he's a really honest, open guy, and he flat out admitted, I had my hands full with George Pickens.
A high character individual.
Yep, and he's like, that dude has some dog in him. I was not necessarily terrified, but he's like, I knew I had a challenge, and the fact that they didn't throw to him more was shocking to him. And that's a all-pro NFL cornerback saying that, and if we're just a bunch of nobodies talking about it, but when a guy like that says it, then I listen, and I thought there was a lot to that. Scarps.
Yeah. I said this many times. I think Pickens needs to grow up a little bit, but he, to me, is their only game breaker on offense. He's the game breaker. Yeah. And with that comes the downside of he gets a little pissed off, he gets frustrated, etc. But I know he's a rookie, and I need him to be humbled in a certain way, but I agree. Yeah. If you're only throwing the ball his way 4 times a game, I'm sorry, but I don't give a shit who the quarterback is. There's an issue, right? Because because you are you trying to win games? Are you trying to salvage non-losing seasons or whatever?
Play to win the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand though how you can try to involve a guy like Sims or Olszewski in this offense
for sure
as much as Pickens gets touches, and it blows my mind because listen, again, like George, like bless his heart, Pickens thinks he's the greatest already, and I have no problem with that.
No, I love it.
But as much as I'm like, okay, he needs to grow up or whatever,
he does.
He does. But he's also their best player on offense, and
he's
the fact
definitely the most talented. There's no question.
The fact that they run these stupid ass jet sweeps, and Gunnar Olszewski gets blown up on yet another jet sweep. Sorry,
no, you're giving Mark some flashbacks.
I'm just saying that, like,
you're absolutely right.
I'm not saying that Pickens needs 15 targets a game, but he needs more than 4.
Yes. No.
He should be getting between 7 and 10.
Yes.
No fucking question.
And he
if you miss the throw, as long as it's not picked, even as long as you're throwing at him, that defense stays terrified.
And
that's what we need.
Yeah. And he's a rookie. He's made some nice catches in this league. He hasn't done shit in this league overall. But like, even I, who's a hater, could be like, this fucking dude needs the ball more than 4 times per game. Just saying.
Hey, I'm gonna pat myself on the back. Sorry for doing this, but when everyone was sure that George Pickens had a shot at being offensive rookie of the year before the season started, no fucking way. No fucking way. Because he plays for the Steelers. And we talked about it. I mentioned it. Mark asked me on this show before the season started. And no, he had no shot because this offense is shit. And it was clear that it was not going to be good in August.
I believe it was Pickens and Pickett would finish 1 and 2 either way.
Oh, yeah.
You're
right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're
right.
Just like when I play Madden video game, it's all Steelers. Best offensive line, best quarterback, best running back. All that. Get the fuck out of here. In the Gunnar Olszewski thing, for the love of God, can we please stop putting him out when we're going to run a jet sweep to his side? It's like watching a grown man throw toddlers into a ball
Brock
pit.
Purdy just threw a pass about like Duck Hodges.
Oh,
it's so obvious what they're going to do based on the personnel they put in. Like, when Boykin's coming in, they're going to run the ball because that's all they use him for, apparently. Like, they settle into these funks of like, oh, Miles Boykin can only block. He's not 6'4" and runs a 4.3 40. Like, we can't throw him the ball, apparently. It's although I will say
he's not a great receiver, man. I mean,
he's not, but shit.
I mean, he's the Gunnar Olszewski of outside receivers, except that he's better than special teams. He's better on special teams.
Really good on special teams
than Olszewski is for sure.
Speaking of special teams, all right, let's talk about this one.
Yeah, let's.
To me, the point where the game changed completely was
field position
was 2 plays. Number one, they were back to back. Harvin's 17-yard punt and then the 40-yard run. Like, those 2 plays changed the game completely. And they happen back to back. Like, you shank a punt and then give up a run that puts them on the goal line. That was the only touchdown of the game that they scored.
And let's be frank, whose gap was it that they went through on that long 40-yard run?
Right over
Cam's.
It was Cam Hayward.
Right over Cam.
And he guessed the wrong way, I think. Must have read the blocking scheme wrong because he tried to spin out of the block and he went away from the hole. And the running back was like, oh, my God, look at the size of this fucking hole.
Ian,
oh, my.
I completely agree with you, Ian, and I hate that we all agree because we're all in agreement right now. But I'd also like to point out that J.K. Dobbins hadn't played in weeks. He was hurt. He had a procedure done, and he definitely wasn't 100%, nor did he show that breakaway speed or anything like that. And
Thank God.
I know, because he would have scored on that 40-yard run rather than doing it like a play later.
He'd still be running.
Getting back to that whole 49ers thing, like whether it was J.K. Dobbins or Gus Edwards, and like they actually had Kenyon Drake in a few plays that they failed on, but if the one fumble that Huntley had, they would have actually had converted that. Anyway, the point is it's nice to have an offensive coordinator that knows how to put his players in position to succeed.
Amen.
But the other thing hopefully we talk about this highest paid defense in the league that fucking can't stop J.K. Dobbins or anybody that runs against them anymore, and yet we've talked about it ad nauseum at this point, but the depth is not good, and it's 3 guys that are really good players and a bunch of guys. That's the issue. You ain't wrong.
We'll talk right about that defense here in just a second. Just a reminder, we are part of the Pigskin Podcast Network, and make sure you join their partner and ours, DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code TPPN. Place a $5 bet on any NFL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code TPPN. Check it out, boys and girls. Yeah. The defense highest paid, blah, 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 blah. It's doesn't matter how much they're paid. They're not performing for sure. I think
Brock Purdy is not good, and the Seahawks defense is so fucking on bad. They're just awful. My God.
Well, the Purdy thing, he's going to come back to earth, I think.
I
once
agree.
teams get some film
George
on
Kittle
him.
looked pretty damn good tonight, though.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
George
that much.
Kittle's a beast. I love that guy.
He just got to stay healthy. If he stays healthy, he's one of the better ones in the league. But it's constantly dinged.
And I know Ben hates fantasy football, but his fantasy numbers haven't been that great this year. But
Mike Tomlin hates fantasy football too.
Does he? Good.
Yeah, he talked about that because fucking Tomlin's on such a great he's on such great terms with everyone that he can talk shit about fantasy football and I know. I saw that the other day. I'm like,
did you see
I'm like,
that?
dude, like, listen, man.
I wouldn't put up with that if I were you. Go ahead, Ryan.
I mean, okay. I'm gonna tell you this right now. I don't think Tomlin should go. Tomlin was good to me, and I like Tomlin. If I never fucking worked there in my life, I'd still like Tomlin because I just like something about him. But I tell you this, if you're gonna act so fucking, like above everyone in those press conferences and your interviews, like you're shitting on so many people when you talk about like, I don't care about your fantasy football. It's like, well, dude, I care about my fantasy football team. And oh, by the way, you haven't won a playoff game in 6 years. So like,
hey, and neither has your fantasy team, Scarps. Boom!
Lies. That is a lie. Okay. And it is a lie only because I'm telling you it is, because you have no idea what my fantasy teams have done. And yes, we can make that joke. We can make that joke.
No catch.
Yeah.
But there is truth that the Steelers haven't won a playoff game.
And it's, believe me, I see it every day on the Twitters. People want to remind us that he hasn't won a playoff game in a long time. And since those first few years, his record's pretty bad too.
I mean,
I do too.
I get it.
Yeah.
And they should have started the rebuild, at least a year before, maybe two.
Mm-hmm.
And the Steelers are a rebuilding team. As much as people didn't want to admit it in July and August, the Steelers are a rebuilding team. This is what that looks like. Sorry.
I've been talking a ton tonight. I've been drinking since noon, if you didn't care. But if you didn't hear me, and I'll shut up after this.
By the way, real quick, is Casey Kasem coming tonight?
Oh, yeah. Where is it? Oh,
Casey is coming. Okay, all right. Just want to make sure. Just making sure.
He wrote that down while he was sober.
Yeah.
I can't remember, actually. But the point is, because, Ben, you brought it up. I mean, in August, I was told that the experts and the analysts were sleeping on this offense.
That's because they were,
and
man.
Everyone's hating, and it sucks.
Sleeping on it. I'm comatose from this offense.
I mean, come on. In September, we were all on this show going, fuck, 12 more games with this offense. I don't know if I can watch this. I mean,
they beat the Bengals.
We all know I'm going to, but God, this is going to suck.
Yeah. Welcome in Melvin, Daddy Duty. We get it, man. We get it. Hope everybody's good. And man,
he doesn't know anything about Daddy Duty.
I know all about it.
Oh well, Ian knows
Burger. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Ian, you were on location Sunday in Acrisure Stadium. What was the vibe like in that place?
Heinz Field.
Yeah, at Heinz Field.
I know.
I mean, it was Steelers Ravens, so it was, there was always hype to begin with, but it was just like, it was almost like a slow bleed out of the stadium, that it was just like, everyone was hyped, and that it was just like, there was really nothing to kind of get them going. And like, anytime something good happened, like, okay, we drove down the field, and then, we threw an interception. Oh, we drove down the field again. It was like every time you started to kind of get your hopes up, and you could tell the crowd really wanted to get into it. And it was just like, every time the team let them down. And but that was kind of always the knock on Mitch too, and it was the knock on Mason, that you can move them between the 20s, but you get down into the red zone,
and you can't get in.
That's what separates the great quarterbacks from the guys who are just a guy. That when you kick field goals instead of scoring touchdowns, or even worse, throw interceptions. And honestly, I think if Mason had been available after that second pick, Tomlin might have put him in because. And here's the thing about Mason Rudolph is he's not going to go out and win you a game.
Really?
But he's not going to.
You don't say.
He's not going to go out and win you a game, but he's also not going to go out and lose you a game, right? He's not going to go out and.
I see what you're saying.
He's not going to lose you a game by taking Rudolph. He's not.
So what you're saying is
he's not going to lose you a game by taking
Mason Rudolph has
risks.
Mastered mediocrity. Is what you're saying.
Yes, I mean,
all right. What has Kenny Pickett been doing the last couple of weeks though?
I wouldn't say that Kenny has quite gotten to.
Ian, that's my fault. Ian, go ahead. Back to
you. My point was my broader point, Ryan, was I was taking Pickett out of the equation. I said on Sunday, if Mason had been dressed, Tomlin would have put him in after Mitch threw the second pick, because Tomlin values ball security, especially from backup quarterbacks, more than risk taking. And at some point, when we got down by 9 or 10 or whatever it was, we got to 9. We got down by 2 scores. Yeah, you had to push the ball down the field. But the other thing is, everyone's talking about that touchdown drive, but the Ravens were playing a little bit softer defense because they were up by 2 scores also. So, it was 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But it's neither Mason nor Mitch is going to put more than 2 touchdowns on the board, and that just is what it is.
I agree with that. Real quick, George asked about Renegade, and Ian, you texted the group chat. Did they play Renegade when we were on offense?
No, they played it after the interception.
After the interception.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
You were behind on. I was in the stadium.
Yeah.
Your game cast stream was behind by like a play or 2.
Oh, at least.
So Trubisky threw the deep ball towards Diontae, overthrew it.
Yep.
It was an interception, and then they played Renegade. So I texted you Renegade when it was happening in real time, which is probably before you saw the interception happen.
Yep. Okay. So that's what made sense to me now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey,
now,
one thing
that's
real
the other
quickly.
thing. That's the other thing I want to mention about that interception. So I don't know if you noticed when you were watching it live, but Mitch doesn't do a lot of like pre-snap hand signaling, calling things out, anything like that. Before that interception, he looked over at Pickens and made some hand signal at him, and I'm like, oh, something's happening here. Then he looked at Diontae and made some hand signal at him, and I'm like, oh shit, they're gonna go deep here. And then all of a sudden they go deep to Diontae and he overthrows the ball, and I'm just like, it's like they're telegraphing this stuff. They're making it way too obvious.
Melvin, yes. Presley Harvin did have one bad punt, the 17-yarder, because it bounced fucking backwards.
I see his point.
It wasn't that bad.
Oh, that was like one of those punts that you kick.
It wasn't that bad a day.
40-mile-an-hour wind.
It wasn't that bad a day.
Up and it comes back.
It was terrible. That one punt was awful.
God,
I don't even want to go backward. Never mind. Let's not talk about that.
All right.
Let's move on.
Fair enough. Yeah. Scarps, go for it.
No, I was just gonna say that on a good day, if the worst problem you have is that your punter sucks, that's a good thing. But the punter falling short is in the midst of all the shit that the Steelers are right now.
Yeah.
But getting back to Renegade, and I've said this, and I know this is blasphemy, but Renegade represents the past Steelers. And much like the current Steelers that continue to dwell on the past.
That's current Steelers fans.
Current Steelers fans. But my point is that Renegade is no longer what it was. And yeah, I've been there when it has been magical and great.
Yep.
I've also been there when it's been shit. And far too often lately, it's been shit than it's been good. I mean, Renegade now to me,
Ravens players were dancing during Renegade. on Sunday.
Other teams play Renegade during their practices, so they play the Steelers at Heinz because they're not intimidated. Like it used to mean like, oh shit, James Harrison's coming off the edge and he's gonna sack somebody and Troy's gonna pick up that fumble. Great, I get it. Now the nostalgia's there, but the results aren't. And I tell you this, and I know that sound, and Steelers fans will be like, shut up, you're a hater. Pick something else. Bring me something else. Bring me something else. And first of all, before I even worked at the Steelers and before Renegade was even a thing, I fucking hated that song. It's not even one of the top 10 best Kiss songs. I apologize. Styx songs. Sorry.
Can we all agree that Styx sucks? Because they do.
Okay.
They're fucking terrible.
I didn't mean to say Kiss. Scratch that. Reverse it.
Yeah, it's just because you've been drinking today. We know.
But the point is, I like Styx, but that's not even like top 10 Styx songs. So, like, I get that it was once something, but whatever that something once was, it's not anymore. So, like, give me something else.
Big Ben's burner with Styx sucks. They do suck. I agree with you from the standpoint that what they need is a new tradition, a new motivator. I don't know. I get the fact that there's the nostalgia associated with playing Renegade. And if you go to the stadium, I've been there when they didn't play it, and it's like, well, they didn't play Renegade today. It's kind of, it feels incomplete, right? But at this point, maybe they should move on, because as Scarps has pointed out, the last guy from that team, from that era, was Ben, and he's retired.
Yeah, I agree.
Ben wasn't. That's the other thing. Ben wasn't even there when they started this. It was the 2003 wildcard game against the Browns. Yep. So it was Tommy Maddox and Chris Fumato-Balfala and all those dudes. Like, this isn't even like a Ben thing. Kind of like the Tomlin non-losing season streak isn't a Tomlin thing. It's actually a Ben thing because Ben got there in 2004. Anyway,
because in 2019, when Ben went down, they were 0-2. And he took Duck fucking Hodges and Mason Rudolph and still went 8-8. All right. So that to me is the finest job that Tomlin ever did.
Fair. And what Big Ben's burner just said, is it Renegade or we just suck right now?
That's on point.
If we were killing it, I'd be like, that Jake is something. There's a
that's exactly right.
The Steelers do suck right now, and it was evident. And what I said to my buddy when we were watching the game on Sunday was, I'm like, they haven't played a team this good in a month. Right. Even the Bengals, who that was a winnable game. They didn't have Jamar Chase. They lost Joe Mixon after the first half. That was a winnable game. And, I'm not going to say they came close. They had that garbage time touchdown, which brought it closer, but it was never really that close. But the Ravens are even better, even with Huntley at quarterback. They're better than the Bengals were that day. And that was the big difference, the stark contrast between what you've seen from the Steelers for the previous month and what we saw on Sunday, which was kind of coming back to reality, man, coming back to earth. That's what the Steelers really are right now.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say two things. All the debates I've seen and heard about Renegade and stuff, I'm totally fine if they just retire it for a while. The one thing I did see, people were bitching about, maybe it's time to get rid of the terrible towel. I'm like,
fuck you.
I'm like, holy shit.
No way.
Okay. All right. Well,
yeah, Ian, go ahead, because you're better off with this than I am. So go for it.
You brought this up and brought this on yourself, is all I'm saying. So
I'm repeating what I saw.
I can sense right now that Ian's about to be wrong. Go ahead.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Holy fuck.
No. All right. The terrible towel is a wonderful thing. That said, I have hated this for years, that at Heinz Field, before the game, they have a terrible towel twirl when they bring people out and tell you to twirl your terrible towel. Real fucking Steelers fans don't need told when to twirl their towel. They know when to do it. Right?
I was incorrect. Ian is correct. He's right.
That
what?
Right? that
I agree.
The towel should be a natural thing. The towel has become almost like this corporatized symbol of the Steelers, right?
Yes.
Now, I'm not as old as Ben is, but back when I started going to games,
Oh shit, he's old.
Back when I started going to games in the early 90s, like the towel was really only brought out for like Monday night games and the playoffs. Like it had to be a big game.
It had to be a night game and a playoff game.
Right, man.
A playoff game when the towel came out.
Yeah.
Now it's like 1:00 Sunday game.
They force it on you.
Preseason game. We're gonna twirl our terrible.
Sell more towels that way.
They force it on you,
well,
and they force it on you with some shitty ass celebrity that nobody cares about. Like it's like Wiz Khalifa's a big deal, but like they brought the guy from
fucking
Better Call Saul.
That guy.
And I'm like,
I don't even know his name.
Nobody gives a shit about Howard Hamlin. Like fuck. Do you got better? Is
Howard Hamlin?
He was from Pittsburgh.
They did have.
Was he in Clash of the Titans?
They did have the one fucking.
Oh wait, that's Harry Hamlin.
No, that's Harry.
They
Hamlin.
had the guy from Sons of Anarchy.
Still Dad. Come on, man. I mean,
they had Charlie. They had Charlie Hunnam do it once, and he's not even from America.
No, he's not even from the U.S.
But that's my point. Like they bank on that terrible towel thing, and it's just like, listen, like there's only so many times, and listen, I love me some Poison, I love Brett Michaels, but there's only so many times Brett Michaels can come back like, oh, Pittsburgh, good to see you again. It's only been 15 minutes, you know, like don't need nothing but a good time. Like I said, no, Ian, I'm with you, man. They like. Especially going to the games growing up, like the towel was a special
just to be clear.
And it was like you either had the gold towel, which was the standard, or if you had like my dad had a black one from the 70s, and if somebody had a black terrible towel, you're like, whoa, that's cool, that's a throwback, you know. Now they make a new towel for like every friggin' event. There's a wall of terrible towels for all the different ones they've made. They made pink ones a few years ago that we basically just use to wipe the water off our seats when it rains. And, you know, it's like...
You're wrong.
Myron Cope.
If your kid takes a shit, they make a terrible towel.
Myron Cope was very specific.
Awesome, but it's gotten oversaturated.
Myron Cope was very, very specific.
Once again, they are living on the past.
Okay. Fine. Myron Cope's dead. I get it. Myron Cope was very specific about the towel and how magical it was, but that it only applied during playoff games. Only. Said it. Went on record many times. Really? Very specific. It's really great. The terrible towel. People are bringing it out. It's great. But it only does its magic during playoff games.
So are we saying we blame the Steelers organization for this then?
No, it's just
the terrible towel twirl. I actually do blame them for because that's cheesy as fuck.
Yeah,
I think so too.
You're gonna kick me off the podcast, but I actually purposefully don't twirl my towel when they ask you to because I'm like, no, this is stupid. I'm not doing this. You don't have to tell me when to do it. So
Robbie Gould just missed a kick.
Well, you know, I was just curious about those couple of topics because, you know, when things aren't going well, those are the types of things that people start bitching about.
Like I said, you brought this on yourself, bringing up the towel to me, Mark.
Oh no, I'm totally fine because I mean the Renegade thing. I look, I love it, but at the same time, I also recognize that much like was said in the comments that you know the team really does suck, so it doesn't have the same effect. The towel, I have a little bit of a closer attachment to. I don't.
Burner.
Can
I blame Matt Canada for this too?
Yes, you can.
And to get into a broader, you know, sociological topic too, right? That because TV broadcasts of games have gotten a lot better, that like they've had to do things at the stadium to make people more entertained by being there. You know, so some of that is you don't have.
Get to your seat early.
Right. And like I was talking to a guy who sits next to us during the game, and he was like, yeah, and he's older than I am. He's probably about Mark and Ben's age, you know. But
he's like 80.
You know. But but he was saying like, yeah, like when I started going to games with my dad at Three Rivers, like it was all these steel mill workers and coal miners that would, drink before the game and then drink at the game and then go out and drink after the game. And like, it was like a whole day for them. And now it's like, fuck, tickets are like $150. If you have a job like that, you can't afford those tickets anymore.
Yeah,
it's much more of I guess I'll call it like a corporate atmosphere that's more like entertainment centric than actually like sporting centric or football.
Especially in the 100 level where Ian sits, that's really bougie.
Bougie.
It is.
I'll tell you that.
I've sat in those seats. I'm telling you.
But I agree with what Ian just said.
They're bougie as fuck. Just telling you.
That part of the game has changed. The average Joe struggles to go to games now.
Dude, when I still worked there, we were tasked with how do we get fans in the seats before kickoff so that when they show that aerial view that it looks like it's packed. And we fucking did everything you can imagine to try to get fans in seats, and they just didn't give a shit. I mean, like
we had drinking to do. We had drinking to do, Ryan.
Yeah,
we were busy.
Listen, that's fine, and I understand that, and that's one of the things that I brought up.
If you sold beers for $3 in the stadium, then more people would come in and drink inside. Yeah.
Yeah. If you sold beer for $3 up until kickoff.
So one of the first things I said was, I said, oh my God, I've been drinking. I am's what I am, spot by over here. But I would be like, can we get somebody? If you enter the stadium early, can you get a free hot dog and a beer? They're like, oh, we can't do that. But it's just like, you're right. Like it's just a totally different crowd, it's a totally different mentality. But I'll tell you this, like we went to a Penguins game about a month ago, and we got free tickets because Jess's dad is a contributor to Rivers Casino, and I say contributor, he plays blackjack.
Gotcha.
I looked at the ticket price and I was like, holy hell, like I would never come to this game if I had to pay for these seats because I couldn't do it. So it's a variety of things, and I do agree that it is hard to enhance that stadium experience, whether it's ticket prices or concession prices. But also too that like I don't know how many people are really going to that game just to see or just to hear Renegade. Like it's not like like it would have used to be.
I feel like it's one of those things though, right? Like you go see, pick somebody. You go see Bruce Springsteen in concert. You want to hear him play Born to Run, right?
Yeah.
It's like
sure.
You go see the Stones. You want to see Satisfaction.
Right. You go see someone, you want to see them like do the hits, right? It's one of those things they know they can do to kind of get the crowd into it. Although playing it after an interception is probably a bad idea, but I also understand the quandary therein that they need like that 2-minute commercial break, and that commercial break only hits at certain times, and all that stuff. You can't play it during a 30-second timeout, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do want to talk a little bit about the Panthers this weekend. They enter at the same record as the Steelers at 5-8. The big difference being that they're still in the midst of a potential playoff race because that division is bad. So who's going to start a quarterback for them? Is it Darnold again?
Darnold, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it's Darnold going to start. They got some decent running backs in Foreman and the bubblegum man, Chubba Hubba. And I don't think any Steelers fan should be under the idea that the Steelers are just going to go in there and win because the Panthers aren't very good. We got the same damn record, people. They're going to run the ball. So I do expect there to be a significantly large Steelers crowd there, as there was in Atlanta and Indianapolis and stuff. But
there was a significantly large Steelers crowd last week.
It wasn't bad
at Heinz Field.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of purple in there though too.
There were some Rat fans.
Yeah.
There were some, yeah.
I don't think home field is what it used to be, personally.
I think that part really sucks, to be perfectly honest.
It's I agree.
Bro, man. Three Rivers was it.
Yeah.
Right? It was a really shitty stadium, but goddamn, it was so loud.
And I'm not going to say that they won every game there because they obviously didn't. But you knew when you like the John Facenda, Tom, like coming into 3 stadium, like you knew it.
Yeah. Look at George. I paid $35 for tickets. Steelers Chargers 77. Yeah, I think I paid that much for a beer this year.
Right behind the Steelers bench.
Yeah.
I've paid more than $35 for a round of beers in Heinz Field.
Oh, no doubt.
I have. Like a bunch of times.
I was gonna say they're probably pushing $10 a beer now. Like it's probably getting close.
Well,
that's the thing is
beer. It's so goddamn expensive.
And that's the thing, right? Like you go.
They wonder why I sneak flasks in.
You want to suck down as many beers as you can out in the parking lot that you got the, $12.50 30 rack of Icy Light. And you're just like, I'm going to guzzle all these that I can before I go in. And that's why, people barely make it in for kickoff. Hey, by the way, the Panthers have scored 20 plus points in 6 out of their last 7 games.
Here we go.
So that might be a problem.
Hey, what's the Steelers record when the opponent scores more than 20 points?
Not good.
What would that be?
I'm gonna put Casey Kasem in the bullpen, by the way.
When the opponent scores more than 20.
Wow, we're over an hour, man. What are your thoughts on this week?
Place else to go.
What? Yeah, apparently. Ian, what are your thoughts on a potential score this weekend?
Predictions.
Predictions. So to answer Ben's question, 0-5 if it's 21 plus, 1-5 because we beat the Bengals 23-20 if it's 20 plus. Big Ben's burner SCB after hours. That's right.
Steelers freak. I would like to point out that my flask is hidden next to my nuts as I go through the metal detectors, and it's made out of Mylar.
Just my belt.
And
next
after
week
you get in, you take it out
overtime again.
You take it out of the nutsack because nobody wants nutsack warm whiskey and in the third quarter, right?
That would be good. Yeah. I'm sorry, Ian. Go ahead.
Oh, I said next week we should do SCB overtime again because it's going to be
I'm planning on it. Next week at this time, Friday would be my last day before I get a little reprieve. So we'll definitely do some OT. And of course, next week will also be Festivus week.
That's right.
Festivus is December 23rd.
Oh yeah.
And we'll gather around the Festivus pole and air some grievances.
As I recall, the last time we did this, it went off the fucking rails.
And I'm okay with that. The whole fucking team is off the rails.
I was going to say the whole season's off the rails at this point. Who cares about our podcast?
God, But I'm sorry, Ian. Did we ever get a prediction? I'm sorry.
Oh no.
What's the over under and whatnot?
Oh yeah, that's a good question.
I don't know.
That's a good question.
Any of that shit. It looks to me like it's going to be an ugly game. It's going to have really low ratings.
So the guy who was sitting next to me bet the under on the Steelers-Ravens game last week and was sitting there after the first quarter like, fuck, I never thought there'd be 17 points in the quarter. The over-under on this game is like 37. And I was like, other than that Bengals game, I think we've hit the under every time. And we hit the under again last week.
So here's
Steelers Carolina by 3.
Steelers are plus 3 over under
37.5. Yeah, it's
Steelers plus 3 at Carolina and a oh my god, this is depressing.
It is fucking depressing.
Yeah. So
that's because our quarterbacks suck.
So here's a
I'm not going anywhere, BBB.
Hold on. I actually come back to me because there's something I want to look up about this because I know it's that. I just want to make sure.
Sharps, what do you got? Got a prediction? Carolina Panthers hosting.
So here's one for all you Mason haters out there. You want to quickly say that? Oh well, Mason got benched for Duck in that Cincinnati game. Well, Duck got benched for Mason in that Jets game
and
in 2019. And Mason actually had a pretty decent showing. And you know who the quarterback was for the Jets at that time? Sam Darnold. So he is back in Carolina.
Battle of who's the shittiest quarterback is? I mean,
no, he's back.
Duck.
We're going to see some
Duck supplanted Mason fucking Rudolph and then went to the CFL and washed out. He's not good enough to play in the CFL.
Okay. He supplanted Mason Rudolph because Mason Rudolph got hit in the head with his own helmet by Myles Garrett.
Come on.
Okay. Come on.
Come on. The fucking 49ers games.
Fuck out of here.
They gifted him five turnovers.
Oh, I know.
You know how many points he scored off those 5 turnovers? 6 points.
Oh, I know.
2 fucking field goals.
Can we get to a prediction, please?
Do you lose a game when you're +3 on the turnover ratio?
Benjamin, I'm going to let you get all anxious about this because
prediction,
please. That game, James Conner with that fumble. But
and Mason with the pick he threw in that game too.
The point being is that just when you thought you were rid of Sam Darnold, he rears his ugly head again, and he has a better rushing attack this week. I said the Ravens were going to win by 3 last week. I have no reason to pick the Steelers this week. I'm going to go with the Panthers again by 3.
Score, Mr. Scarpino? Score.
No.
Okay. Not by 3. I need a score.
Okay. I said 23-20 Ravens last week. It wasn't quite as high. I'm going to go with 2017 Panthers.
All right. 20-17. Very good. And
all right, I'm good on
Ian, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So I'm right about this stat. So the Panthers have only scored more than 20 points against the Steelers once in their entire history, and that was in a 52-21 annihilation of them on Thursday Night Football, where they scored a late touchdown.
Garbage time touchdowns.
Yeah.
Garbage time touchdowns. Yeah.
Get to that 21. So in Steelers Panthers history, the Panthers have never scored more than 21 points against us, and that 21 was in that friggin' blowout. The Panthers have lost 6 straight games against the Steelers. And so here's the thing.
A lot of trends.
We got our ass kicked in the trenches this past week.
Yeah.
And there's guys on that team, Cam Hayward, some other guys, that will take that shit personally and will want to come back and be better and not get their ass kicked in the trenches again.
As they should.
Yeah. Sam Darnold is not that good of a quarterback.
No.
Carolina has some good players. Foreman's a great story. Brian Burns is an awesome defensive end. Whoever plays quarterback is in trouble. Chuba Hubbard reminded me, when I watched his college tape, reminded me a lot of Willie Parker, that he had the breakaway track speed, but he didn't have a lot of wiggle and got brought down a lot on first contact. So if he gets a crease, he can go a long way and is scary. But if you can hit him before he makes that move, then you can keep him contained. I'm going to go. All right, I'm going to go Steelers 20, Panthers 16.
Okay. All right. Ben, what do you got?
I think that the defensive front will take their performance versus the Ratbirds last week. Personally, I agree with Ian. There are guys. Did you see TJ Watt's interview after the game? He was fucking pissed. And he should be. I mean, he didn't look great.
No.
They've obviously scouted him.
He didn't even want to celebrate his sack when he got it.
He has no inside moves. TJ Watt is a shell of his former self.
He is.
Is he still better than Malik Reed? Yeah, he is. He is.
He's built differently.
Yeah. Okay. Miles Jack is another guy who's going to take that shit personally. Devin Bush, who knows? He might, maybe not. They didn't say anything about him personally, so maybe he didn't care. I don't fucking know. Sam Darnold is not a good quarterback, as Ian points out, so he can't really take advantage of our shitty outside corners. They're going to give up some plays because there are corners, but they're not. It's not a situation where Sam Darnold can come in and just gouge us with pass plays.
Right.
He could if he was good, but he's not. Chuba Hubbard is a good running back. That's a little scary. I think, though, that the defensive front is going to take that game personally, and they're going to scheme to stop the run first. So, all of that said, the flip side of this, either Mitchell Trubisky or Mason Rudolph is starting this game. And I think both of them are going to play, to be perfectly honest, no matter what the fuck happens. I think both of them end up playing, which leads to probably a D- at quarterback for Sunday. But, the line is playing a little better versus not great defenses, and the Panthers' defense is not fantastic. They're not terrible, but they're not fantastic. So I am going to say Steelers 21 and Panthers 19.
Woo! 2-point game. All right. I am not going to provide nearly the analysis provided by you guys. I firmly believe that if you want to stop the run, then you better stop the run. And I'm not sure they can stop the run. So, therefore, I'm going Panthers 23, Steelers 17. Sorry.
6 points.
Sorry. Yep. I just.
And I'm the hater.
Well, it's not about being a hater.
Why are you such a hater, Mark?
I don't have faith.
Why do you hate the Steelers?
It sells tickets. I don't know. Gets clicks. Whatever. Something like that. Is Casey Kasem ready to go, by the way?
Oh, yeah, that.
Oh, fuck. We haven't done that yet. I guess I'll pour myself some more whiskey.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's true. That's
Do it up, everybody. Grab your beverage. Casey Kasem is getting ready to go.
I think I'm going to go with tequila.
I've been drinking since noon. American Top 40. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. The week that was December 15th, 1980. Ride for Pittsburgh Rights, dear Casey. A bottle of white, a bottle of red, perhaps a bottle of Iron City instead. We'll get a table near the street in our old familiar place, you and me, face to face, Kenny. Talking about you, Kenny Pickett. Meet me anytime you want in our Italian restaurant. Casey, I quickly want to send my best wishes to Steelers quarterback Kenny Pickett. You know, the Steelers' first-round pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. And he went to the University of Pittsburgh. I'm not sure you know that. That Kenny Pickett. Thoughts and prayers to Kenny as he works his way through the protocol that will teach him how to read defenses. Oh, concussion protocol. I apologize. Just kidding. Love you, KP8. The season is over. It's been over. This team stinks. They are soft, undisciplined, weak. They have no attention to detail. They don't make any routine plays routinely. They lack physicality. They have no gap integrity. And that's just the highest paid defense in the league, Casey. On offense, well, it's a shit sandwich. Actually, that's too much of a compliment. The offense is an enigma mixed with the blandest concoction you can imagine. Don't even get me started on special teams. More like ordinary teams. Am I right? It's like they aren't putting in any extra work in any phase. They're working 9 to 5. Well, Ryan, you're in for a treat. Next up on American Top 40, moving up 6 spots this week to number 39, from the movie of the same name, starring Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, maybe she can coach the Steelers, and Dolly Parton. Here's Dolly with 9 to 5.
Wow.
Not special teams. Ordinary teams. That's a great line.
Knock that one out of the park, Scarps.
Wow. That's a great line, man.
Oh, my God.
Or Danny Smith, man.
If anybody's still listening.
Coach Bubblegum. Ordinary teams, Coach.
Oh, my God. I'm dying right now. I hate myself. It's like the best part of my week is writing this fucking.
It's even better for us old fucks who remember the top 40 very well every Saturday morning with Casey Kasem.
Literally, go back and listen to the shit that people write to Casey
Kasem.
Oh,
it was incredible.
And it's like it's terrible. I mean, it's legit.
Oh my God!
Yeah, Casey, I don't quite know if I might kill myself.
He was
Suicide
Dr.
real.
Phil.
I'm just saying,
Phil.
people would write to Casey about these things.
No, they would.
If you need help, please seek it. We at the Steel City Blitz podcast promote mental health. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, that was good. The shit sandwich, isn't it?
And
Fucking
that's
Dolly
just the
Parton.
highest paid.
Dolly Parton.
Boy!
Listen,
all right.
I'm gonna tell
Okay.
Dolly. I'm gonna call up Dolly Parton right now. I'm gonna say, Dolly, give me 10 plays right now to get George Pickens open, and she'd be like, "Well, darling, I bet you I can fucking do that." And McMahon's like, "Well, we like throwing the ball around to different people." Like, give me Dolly at offensive coordinator. We'd score 30 points.
Anybody else get a vision of Dolly Parton and that press box booth camera that they always show Canada on? You see Dolly sitting up there. Oh man. Okay. Next week, Festivus show. We'll have plenty of grievances, especially if this team doesn't win Sunday.
Grievances?
Really? Airing of
After
the
the
grievances.
fantastic season we're having,
Well,
who was the asshole today who posted on Twitter the Steelers would be a 9-win team right now, maybe a 10-win team, if Ben Roethlisberger was a quarterback this year?
Wasn't me.
I was like, okay, they might win a few more games.
They would have.
Ben.
They probably would have.
But maybe one or two tops. I mean, what are they? They're 4-5 now in one-score games.
Yeah.
Yes.
And last year they were 8-3 or something, fucking 8-2.
Yeah.
What was
They
it?
have been They have been above 500 in one possession game since 2014.
And we talk about it every year. It's that return to the
It was
mean.
Ben, and I get it. Ben was fucking money in the fourth quarter. He was great, and they don't have that quality right now. But he wasn't getting better. He was not going to be a better player this year than he was last year. And last year he was not good. Oh my God. Yeah. The fucking things that come out of Steelers Twitter. And maybe it's just, people put shit out just to get some clicks.
Well, I think that's part of it.
I want to get some likes. So I'm going to put something really outrageous out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, we'll pick it up.
And really, to that point, though, that kind of is the identity of the 2022 Steelers, is that they
working 9 to 5.
They are not clutch. Like, that's their identity. That when a play needs to be made, they don't make it. Right? That when you have a chance to stop the Patriots on defense from running the last 6 minutes off the clock, they do not make a play. When you have a chance against the Dolphins to drive the ball down the field and score a game-winning touchdown, they don't make a play. And it's both sides of the ball. It's the identity of the whole team. They're just not clutch. They just
what
don't
Bill
make
Cowher
plays.
said, going way back to the 90s, was the difference between a 10-6 team and a 6-10 team is so slim.
Yeah, it really is.
And that good teams find a way to win games.
Mm-hmm.
And that bad teams, like this one, find a way to lose games.
Yeah.
Okay? Last Sunday, the Steelers found a way to lose the game. You go 2 of 4 in the fucking red zone, and 2 of those drives, you get no points at all.
Mm-hmm.
None.
Yeah.
You're going to fucking lose. If they'd made one more field goal, they would have won the goddamn game. That's how close it was, and they couldn't do it. And Ian's dead right. When they need to make a play, they just can't fucking do it.
Right. No, I'm with you. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Next week we'll be coming at you on the 22nd. Yeah, Thursday the 22nd. And we'll do some airing of the grievances, a little Festivus celebration, and hopefully you can join us. We know it's very, very close to Christmas and everything. But, hey, what the hell else you got to do, right? Grab a beverage and join us. And make sure you check out the site, steelcityblitz.com. Follow us on all of our socials as well. And for these 3 dipshits, this is Steel Dad signing off on the SCB Steelers Podcast, presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. And, hey, go Steelers.
Ravens suck. Fuck those guys.
Shit.